Hey guys, Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome back to the channel. This is part 10 of our Selling Online series, how to leading by example, showing you my strategies, making up things as I go, doing a bit of experimenting. It's all about learning how to sell online and what to use certain platforms for and some strategies. And I've developed some over the years. They, of course, change as other things change. At the moment, I've got something else I'm trying. We'll get into that shortly. We do have 4 auctions finishing shortly this evening. We'll watch those finish. There has been some bids on some of the better, one of the better things, the Omega watch. So that's pretty exciting. There's also a couple of bids on some other things. We'll have a look at that shortly. We'll watch the auctions finish. We do have some more of the good stuff that we pulled out last week to list. So we'll get that on, probably not in this episode, but I'll show you what I'm going to list next. And yeah, we'll talk about something else I'm trying on eBay at the moment, and I'll show you how that's going. So probably next is to hop into the other room, have a look on my laptop, and we'll watch the auctions finish. I'll show you what has been happening with some of our buy it now things as well. We have had some success there. So come with me and we'll have a look. Okay, here we are on my eBay active page. Now we have some auctions finishing shortly. The next one is, well, the first one is the Omega Seamaster watch in 25 minutes. I listed it at 300 because it does have some issues. Let's have a look at it. It photographed pretty well, but you can see the face is rather stained. Also, the crown and the stem actually come out of the watch very easy, and I couldn't adjust the hands because one click, you normally move them out, one little click to adjust the hands, and it pops straight out of the watch. So I could wind it, and the thing seemed to run quite well, but I could not alter the hands. So it obviously needs some repair. I did test this one on my Geiger counter in a recent video, and it does show that the hands and the indices possibly have radium paint because it is radioactive. I wasn't going to fiddle with it. I've mentioned that in the listing, and anyone that's going to spend big money on an Omega watch will know all about that. Anyway, we started at 300. It's had its first bid today, the last day of the auction. It was a 10-day auction. And since then, it's had a few more. This evening, it's just gone up to 345 with 5 bids. So there's 23 minutes to go. We'll watch that finish. It's pretty exciting. I think there are 30-something watches on it. Does it say here somewhere? 34 people watching this. So hopefully it goes a bit higher, but I'm pretty happy with that sort of dollars anyway. Okay, so that'll be exciting to watch. We'll tune back in shortly. Let's just quickly run through my list, and I'll tell you what I'm up to with some things. The beautiful early acetylene carriage lamps, we'll have a bit of a better look at later. Very little activity here. They've only got 2 watches. I did start them at $500, so I did start fairly high, but I think the right person would pay big money for those. I don't expect them to sell. We'll have to talk about what to do with them when the auction finishes. The axe head, the HB, or how do you say that? Hutsbrook Swedish axe head, has got a $100 bid. There's 4 watches on it. So interestingly, it will be interesting to see if we get any more bids on that. Now, what else? We've got another auction here, the Holley carburetor adapter plate. I started it at 60. It's got 40 minutes left. It's only had 6 views and no watches, so that one's pretty well dead in the water. Obviously, there's no one interested in that at the moment, so we'll probably relist that as a buy it now. And I mentioned a few other things I'm trying. I've got some laptops on here, and we'll talk about them perhaps once the auctions are over. And I've listed 3 of them here. One of them has a $20 bid. I didn't worry about having these finish at a particular time or on a particular night, or even one after the other. I'm not going to film the ends of these because I don't think they'll be overly exciting. But I'm trying for $20 as an auction. We'll see what happens, and we'll talk about those a bit later. Some of the things that failed to sell at auction last episode, I've relisted as buy it nows, and the cordless shaver has 12 views, no watches. It hasn't had a taker. The rectifier jar has got 1 watcher on it, but still at 60, no one wants to buy it as a buy it now. The Makita planer has 2 watches on it, but still it hasn't obviously found a buyer. If we scroll up here and go to orders, which is your sold items, we did find a buyer for the Soundcore Bluetooth speaker clock radio phone charger. So very happy to get a sale on that. So with $60, we ended up with around about 50 in our pocket. So that was a very successful sale. Tried it as an auction for a start, didn't get any bids. Relisted as a buy it now, and it sold fairly quickly, so that's good. And the other things you saw finished last time, the vacuum cleaner was picked up and paid for. The guy was very happy. The Valiant wiper motor was posted off, and even the microscope, the old brass microscope. So happy buyers all round there. So let's get back to our current auctions active, and we'll click back in about 20 minutes or just under 20 minutes to see the end of the Omega watch and just see if it provides a bit of excitement as the auction finishes. Okay, with 30 seconds to go, there's been no movement in the last 20 odd minutes, which surprises me, but I'm pretty sure there'll be a sniper at the end. When you've got 34 watches, there's normally someone prepared to jump in pretty high. If we get two people jumping in pretty high, we'll do really well. But let's see what happens in the dying seconds. There's just over 10 seconds left. There we go, there's a jump, 355. There's got to be another one in there, surely. 6 seconds. Come on, press your buttons now. 2 seconds, 1 second. Anyone else? Automatic snipes? No, that's it, 355. Well, I've got to be happy with that. Basically, it came into the shop with some stuff from a local lady that is pretty well happy to take whatever I give her. I did mention this watch was on eBay and I'd said we'd go halves, and she says, oh no, don't be silly, you've got to make a living. So there's some other stuff I've got to price out, so I'll give Lynn a reasonable amount of money, and we're pretty happy with that, and I'm sure the buyer will be very happy because these Omega watches can make in the thousands if they're in good condition, but this one obviously does need some work. 355. Okay, let's go back, refresh this page, and our next auction, 4 minutes left on these carriage lamps. I don't expect anything to happen. They are magnificent lamps, but they're the sort of thing you really need to see in person. They're quite large, and it's hard to portray that through photos. I did a heap of photos up on the deck with the fernery in the background. They look pretty good there. But again, unless you're actually holding them in your hand, you don't probably appreciate the quality of the workmanship to making them. And they are genuine antiques. They're early 1900s, made in Germany, and sold through a business in Sydney, I think. Sydney and Melbourne, they had branches and dealt with early acetylene or carbide lamps. Could have been for a very early automobile, or possibly more likely a coach or a carriage. Really nice lamps. So there's just over 3.5 minutes to go. We will tune back in and see if there's any bidders right at the end. So just under 30 seconds now left on these lamps, and no bids as yet. I don't expect any, as I mentioned. Postage, I put large dimensions for the box because they would take a lot to package safely. Postage works out at nearly $50 locally, so they'd be very expensive to send further around the country. 7 seconds to go. We'll just see if there's any bids here, but I think I'll probably just relist them. 1 second. Okay, no bids. Not surprising. I might set them up in the shop, I think, and put $500 on them in the shop. Obviously then I don't have to package them because someone will be there to see them, and I won't have to pay fees. I'll probably relist them as a buy it now and leave them at 500 and just see how we go. I'm not in a hurry to get rid of them. They're beautiful items, and I think if I set them up in the shop so that they're standing up side by side, they'll be a great display item. They're really a museum piece. Okay, the next auction we have is the axe head, and it has got a bid. Let's click on that and see there's 4 minutes to go. It has a $100 bid. It's in very, very good condition. Let's have a look at this. It's virtually new. It's been used, but it's still got most of its original paint. Well, a fair portion of it anyway. It hasn't been used as a wedge, so there's no flaring on the back of it. There's no cracks to it. You can still read, well, you can read Made in Sweden and the HB logo. Not a brilliant stamp on it, but that's just from manufacturer. You can't even read the N of Sweden, but that's just the way it was stamped. You can see there's a little bit of pitting on the edge, but it's actually never been chipped or damaged by striking something it shouldn't, and that would file up nicely. Importantly, no one's touched it with an angle grinder or anything which would ruin the temper of the steel, or at least you need to know what you're doing before you do that. So it's a great example that hasn't been molested, for want of a better word, and it's a 4.5 pound or 2 kilogram axe head. So a collector should see pretty good value in that, because you don't get them in this condition very often. I did lots of photos, and the weight of it's just over 2 kilos. All right, we'll duck back here shortly. 3 minutes to go, so we'll be back here soon and see how it goes. So 27 seconds, and there's been no further action. There were 4 watches, so not a lot of people watching this. Someone is certainly keen because they put a bid on. I think there's got a bid yesterday, and 12 seconds. Whether there's any one of those other watches are prepared to have a dip, not sure. We'll see. 5 seconds to go, but pretty happy with 100. I was basically looking to get around about that for it. 1 second, no further bidding. Okay, so $100 should give us around about $85 in our pocket, so that's pretty good. And I'm sure the buyer will be happy. He won't find much of a better example around of that axe head. So not much sniping action tonight, but at least we've got a couple of sold items. Now the next auction and the last auction we've got tonight is the Holley Carburettor adapter plate. I think you can still buy these new, and they retail I think around about 100. Maybe the ones I found were new old stock and you can't buy them anymore. I'm not sure. I did see a couple sell for around about $80 when I did a bit of checking. So anyway, we don't have any bids. We've got no watches and there's only been 6 views, so I certainly don't expect anything to happen on this one. We'll just check the end just to make sure we don't get a late bid. And now 30 seconds to go on the adapter plate. I just quickly checked and the watch has already been paid for, and it's going to a suburb in Sydney. And the axe head is going to, hasn't been paid for yet, but it's been won by a bidder down in Tasmania. So yeah, heading to all parts of Australia. 10 seconds to go here. I don't think this will sell, and this is one that I will leave as a buy it now, because unless someone needs it, they're just not going to bid. 1 second to go. No bids here. Okay, these sort of things don't do very well on auction generally, because you need to find the person that actually wants one, and usually when they're looking, they'll click buy it now because they'll say that's what I need, and they'll grab it. So we'll relist it as a buy it now. That finishes our auctions. We'll just refresh our active page. Now these laptops, I'll talk about those in a second. And the other things we've got as buy it nows, the where was it? Here we go. The Champion spark plug boot. It's an old Bakelite one. It's been on for quite a while. After someone suggested to add a best offer to it, I did that. We still haven't had any people make an offer, so 60 is obviously too expensive. I'm going to drop the price to 50, and I'll probably leave best offer. So if I get offered $30 or $40, I'll probably take it. It may as well sit on eBay, because I'm not going to get that money for it in the shop, even though I have actually got it in a cabinet at the shop just on the off chance that someone spots it. So that's the plan for that one. We'll leave the Makita planer go for the rest of the month. The buy it nows work on a 30-day cycle. That's halfway through, so there's 15 days to go. Who knows? Someone might browse eBay one night thinking, oh, I wish I had one of those old vintage Makita planes that, you know, the smaller ones, the Japanese made ones, they're really good. Oh, look, there's one, $60. So that may happen. If it gets to the end of the 30-day cycle, I'll then add the best offer option to it and leave it sit there a bit longer. Exactly the same with this old Willard rectifier jar. It's another thing that really no one's going to give you 2 cents for it unless they need it. So it's got one watcher, but that could well be someone that's got their own and is just seeing if it sells, because that's the only reason pretty much that I watch items. So it has 9 more days of its 30-day cycle, and then we'll add the make an offer or best offer option. So that's my strategy, and we'll do exactly the same with the cordless shaver. It's got another 9 days or just under 10 days to go, and if that fails to sell in that time, then we'll add the best offer and people can then make an offer. And then if they sit there too long, I will just actually drop the price. So that's a bit of a sequence I work through. Now, these laptops, the only other thing I've got on eBay at the moment now, I've listed them as auctions. And these are ones that came, I got a box full from a guy that used to be a computer tech, and he was just cleaning out his shed, and he said, look, take all these for e-waste. They're old computers. No one's probably going to want them. He didn't want them. And to scrap a computer, to scrap a laptop, really isn't that valuable. And I'll go out on the bench and talk to you about that in a second, but just we'll have a look at these listings. This one has a bid, has a $20 bid. It's a HP, it's only an i3, so it's quite an old one. I don't know, about 2010 maybe. Don't remember a date on it. Let's have a look at the pictures. And I tried, it has the original HP charger with it, so that's a bonus. That's probably worth 20 bucks on its own, but I thought I'd list it with a computer. The computer's got a good screen, it's got a good keyboard, it's really quite neat as far as cosmetic condition goes, but it won't get past this boot manager is missing, and it just wouldn't do anything once it got to that part of the screen, so it won't boot up. But that's fine. I'm selling it for parts or repair. Surely someone will see some value in the keyboard or something if they're doing up an old computer. It has Windows 7 on it, but again, I didn't get to that stage. Did a few good photos to show how good the casings are and the screen and the keyboard. So yes, it's a nice looking laptop. It's just quite dated. I don't know why people want old laptops. They're really not that practical. You can buy new ones fairly cheap that are much more powerful. Even your phone's probably more powerful than this thing. But some people like to reminisce and do up old computers. No idea. I don't need to know, to be honest. I'm more than happy to sell stuff without knowing why people actually want them. The other problem, I guess, with selling laptops is they're quite heavy. You've got to have them in decent packaging. So I don't think this would go in a satchel. So it's $18.95 locally. It's going to be more expensive interstate. But I thought I'd give them a try. It's a bit of an experiment. There was two other Toshiba laptops in the same box. This one's an L50D. Now it has no screen. The screen has been removed. And remember I said these came from a guy who was a computer tech, so he must have either robbed parts or maybe the screen was damaged and he was going to put another one in. But yep, the keyboard's good. The casing's good. Even the surround where the screen is looks fine. But obviously I couldn't test it. There was no battery with this one either, I don't think. And all the screws were missing from the base, so I opened it up just to show. It does have RAM, it does have a hard drive. I figured, given that these came from a computer repair place, that there's not going to be any sensitive data on the hard drive. Normally I would try and reformat them if I can boot them up. If I can't, I will probably remove the hard drive. Actually, it's a solid state drive, that one. Not a very large one, only 120 gig. So anyway, that's what I'm trying with these laptops. This one has no bids at $20. And the other Toshiba is an i3 again. It was a little bit scruffy, the cabinet on this one, but it was undamaged. The screen was okay. It was very glossy. And actually, I probably shouldn't take photos with my ring light because it makes it look like the plastic's warped. And it has the i3. Now, I don't think this one would boot up, or it doesn't have a battery, and I didn't have a power charger for it, I think. So I think that was the issue. Let's scroll to the last picture. Oh, there was no hard drive and there was no RAM in this one. It had been removed. I did have a power pack. So it has got a power pack, but it wouldn't boot up because obviously there's no hard drive in there. So I'm selling it with the power pack or the charger. At this stage, there's no bids, but it's still got nearly 6 days to go. So we'll keep an eye on those. Obviously, in the next episode, you'll see what happened with those. And I will be listing some more laptops. And I'm thinking if I can get them to boot, I'll just reformat them and sell them complete. If I can't get them to boot, I'll probably remove the hard drives, especially if they come from people locally that just drop them into me as e-waste. A bit different, the stuff from a computer shop, because obviously there was no data issues. Otherwise, he would have removed the hard drives. Let's go out on the bench and have a look at another one I'm working on. I'll be listing next. And these are the other computers that came into the same box from the old computer tech guy. This is a Dell Vostro 1310. Has the original charger. It booted up okay, but it did have lots of glitches and took ages to get anywhere. But I managed to reset it to factory settings, and that cleaned up all the issues, and it's actually very responsive now. You can see the information there. It's a 2007 Windows Vista, and it's got obviously very low stats as far as modern computers go. 2 GB RAM, Intel Core 2 Duo CPU. I don't know what hard drive capacity it's got in, it'll be pretty small, but it's been reformatted now, and I can sell that safely online. Now, I know some of you will say, and you hear it all the time, that just reformatting a hard drive isn't enough. Well, pretty much with personal computers it is. I've spoken to a couple of guys that are right into the industry, and they should know, and they basically have said, look, yes, the CIA or the government could probably get information off them, but it's a very extensive operation, and who's going to do it for just a random laptop that was someone's either school laptop or something, and maybe they'll find a couple of pictures. Sure, if they suspected you of espionage or terrorism activities or something, but as far as reselling vintage laptops, to my mind, after a lot of checking, it's perfectly fine just to reset them to factory settings, just to reformat them, and no one's going to go to the expense to try and recover the data. But yes, I guess it's true that the data can be recovered, but it's certainly not easy, and if you accidentally reformat your hard drive, it would cost you thousands to get the data back. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to sell these by reformatting where they are operational, like this old girl. No idea if anyone's going to want this. I did a quick search and I did find one overseas that sold, but I don't know. Why do people want old computers? The bottom line is I get very little for them as scrap. eWasteBen quotes about, I think, $1.25 or $1.50 per kilo for a laptop. What is that? Probably weighs 2 kilos, so a couple of bucks for scrap. And then I've got to take them down to him. This one's obviously a lot less. It's only a notepad. It's an E. I think that's an Asus or something. A little dirty, but I'll see if that can boot up, if I can find a charger for it. These are E machines. So I'm not going to scrap them out either, because there's so much work in pulling one apart, and you don't get very much value. Yeah, sure, the laptop motherboards might be worth $6 a kilo, but it takes like 6 of them or 10 of them to make a kilo. So not much value there. You get a few RAM sticks, you get a CPU, maybe. Half of them are probably on laptop motherboards, aren't removable anyway. So very little scrap and a lot of work. If I can get 20 bucks, and who knows, there might be a group of people that collect these old Dells, and in boot up condition with its original power pack might get $30, $40. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time listing them, just a few photos, quick description. They'll all be listed pretty much as parts or repair, but, well, I mean, that one obviously, the Dell obviously goes, but a lot of them that are either missing a screen or don't have a hard drive or something will just be parts and repair. And keep an eye on this series and see how we go. See if we can actually make some money out of selling old laptops. I don't care what model they are. I haven't actually heard of these e-machines before. This one has a i3 again, Windows 7. Looks clean enough. But I've got a pile of laptops as high as me, probably, and a bit higher. So, and I've also got a stack that came from a school recently, and as long as I make sure the data's safe, I can try and sell those on eBay and see if we can get some better money than just scrapping them, either selling them as they are for a couple of bucks. Maybe I can put them in the shop for $10 each, but who knows? eBay gives me the chance of them going a bit higher. I've just got to post them, and obviously there's some fees. So we won't tune in on eBay and watch the auctions finish for the laptops. I doubt anything's going to be very exciting, but we are going to list some more stuff for you guys to watch the end of the auction with me. And I thought, out of this good box we unpacked last time, we might try these AC oil filters. Now, AC apparently was the official Holden or GMH parts supplier, so they're genuine GMH parts. They should go well in their original boxes, so we'll list those ones. We'll also maybe list, if you remember what's in this box, I don't actually, this Smith's hour meter. It was a brand new old stock hour meter, so we'll list that one as well, and we'll probably get 3 on. The other one we might try, maybe this Ford, I think I worked out it was a Ford, did I write on the tag? I think it was an early Ford Mustang T-bar surround for the automatic shifter. So we'll try that on eBay too. This is probably something that eBay will help us for, because I would never find someone, well, it'd take me a long time to find someone who comes in the shop that wants one of these. eBay searches out the right people. Don't know if it'll get much. We might try it at 50 and see if we can snag a buyer. But yeah, we'll put those 3 things on for next episode. There'll be more to go in here for the following episode. We have a driving light, if you remember, a CB driving light, some twin carbies off a Honda something or other, I forget, CB 750, something like that. And we have the HQ Holden radio, and we also have a distributor. Yeah, so a bit of car stuff we'll put through eBay over the course of the next few series while we're looking at how the computers are going, and I'll keep you informed with anything else that I'm doing online as far as sales go. We are getting some stuff out of a couple of shed deals I did recently. You may have seen those videos. There'll be some stuff including vintage computers, bigger desktop computers, so that'll be pretty interesting because I think they'll go really well. So I hope you're enjoying this series. It's all about selling stuff online, which any of you can do. You don't have to have a shop to do that, and I often do a bit of experimenting, so follow me along with my eBay efforts and you might pick up a few tricks. And by all means, keep commenting because I do get some good suggestions in the comments. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.